Hello, 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 hello. Welcome back to Crypto Traders Arena. This is our crypto weekly review, episode number 15 for middle of April. April 16th is today, and looks like I'm streaming away on YouTube and got a few people in the room. So hello, everybody. Hey, D-Mac. Good to see you. Appreciate your consistency. I know it's become kind of a joke that you haven't won our giveaway every week, but man, I do appreciate you always being around. You definitely seem to be consistent in your trading efforts. So hopefully that doesn't get you down that you didn't win. Maybe you will at some point here. And you know, if we're picking on you a little bit about it, it's just joking around. So hopefully your trading's going well though. And anyhow, we'll see what happens today. But welcome back, everybody. Paul's not with me today. He's on holiday. Took the week off, and so although I wouldn't be surprised if he's still listening right now. He's probably even trading, even though he should be on vacation. But nonetheless, he's not going to be in today's show, so it's just me today. But I'm going to do my best to just impersonate him as best I can. But yeah, here we are, middle of May. I guess we started a new quarter a couple weeks ago, and everything seems to be just going along as planned for the most part. This whole accumulation year, still just another week into it, another week into kind of this seasonal trade into May. Everything's still pointing up for the most part. And I got our spreadsheet up here. I'll get to this deeper. I'll do this. Basically, I'll still try and do the show as we normally do, and I'll just kind of do Paul's part where we've basically been just taking 5 coins a week, starting with the top of the market cap and going down. And we are skipping. We're basically only doing the Binance coins. For this particular Road to Financial Freedom plan. Most of our community's on Binance. Ironically, I'm not, being in the States. So some of these coins I don't have access to. So my plan's a little bit different. But for this show, we're focused on Binance only coins. So if there's a coin that's not on Binance, we're just skipping it. And we're also skipping the stables and stuff like that. So, I think we're down to about 100. We've been through about 100 of them now, somewhere around there. This is episode 15, so I guess we've been through 60 of them totally, but we've gotten to about 100 in market cap, I think. So anyhow, this is our spreadsheet right here. I'll get into this in a minute, but of course this is available to everyone. The whole purpose of this show is to just work our long-term investment plan, this plan over the next couple years, and looking for the next bull run. And hopefully being all accumulated by then and ready to take advantage of that because, we got to be thinking about this now if we want to profit on this later. And of course, we're calling it the Road to Financial Freedom, but if you don't pay attention now, it'll become the Road to Financial FOMO later. And you'll be kicking yourself when everything's going nuts down the road that you weren't thinking about it earlier. So now's the time to get your plan together. And yeah, sure, right at the moment, things are a little, altcoins look really good, and there are buyable altcoins, so I shouldn't say they're too far. Some of these altcoins are too high to be buying right now, but there's still a lot of opportunities. And I do think sticking with the general plan, we'll see what happens in May. If we can get any sort of dump after May down into levels that are buyable, then that's probably where we'll see a lot of fills. But we've been getting fills on this plan. You can... These are the coins we've been through. You can see the yeses are the fills we've gotten. So we've gotten quite a few fills as I scroll through here. Yeah, we're at like 69 today. We left off with Osmo last week. And funny enough, we're up on most of these. Haven't banged any doubles yet out on this plan, but we are up on most of them, which I don't know if that's good or bad. We do still want to accumulate. So you can see how we're like 20% up on a lot of these and probably be banging out some doubles soon. It looks like Dash is maybe our best performer so far on this plan. So I got 5 coins to go through later, just for fun because Paul's not here. just since I'm doing all the talking today, I thought it'd be cool I wanted to start with just the journal entry I made today that I just kind of did a little brainstorming. I called it Gladiator Code just for fun. Keep with our sort of gladiator theme here with Crypto Traders Arena. But I kind of just wanted to make I just made a list of things that I think are important to consider if you want to truly be a professional trader, not just some amateur hour trader. And, we're trying to be professionals in our group. And I just kind of wanted to go through this list and talk about some of these things and what I think about them and why I think you guys should consider them if you do want to act like a professional in the market. And I started with Paul's slogan because I think it's fun. Treat the market like a business and the market will treat you like a king. And I think that's a fun statement because it's got a lot of truth in it too. And I do think that, we want to approach this as a business and I think the market will reward you if you truly do that, as opposed to just trading willy-nilly or I don't know, just a lot of crypto kids unfortunately just get caught up in chasing influencers on YouTube and stuff like that, and that's not how you act as a professional. That's not treating it like a business. You're just basically gambling. And we're trying to have while we might be gambling to some extent, we're trying to instill a business practice into this to control the sort of negative aspects of just kind of hopping in the market willy-nilly. And so I kind of made this list. It's not in order or anything, and it's also not inclusive. And I was kind of thinking maybe if other gladiators and people in the group want to add to this, we can kind of make this list, build it out over the next while, and just kind of have this to, this is part of my journal, and I just kind of want to remind myself these things. So I'll just try to go through them kind of quick. I mean, they're pretty straightforward, plan the trade the plan. It's like a pretty solid trading saying that you'll probably hear around, and it's super important. I mean, that's what we're trying to do here, right? We want to be working from a plan that's key, and we want to trade that plan. That's all that really matters. We want to make sure that we have a plan in place and we're trading that plan, and we're not just making decisions on a whim. And the next thing I have here is plan, execute, analyze, modify, and repeat. And this is just sort of the cycle of this business that I'm talking about here. The treating the market like a business requires that you kind of instill this process here, which is, again, creating a plan, and then we want to execute that plan. And then after executing that plan for some amount of time, we want to go and analyze the results and see what happened when we executed this plan. And we want to identify areas that we need to modify the plan, mistakes we've made, setups that aren't working so great. And then we want to repeat that whole process. And it's just like a wheel that we're going to stay on constantly. We're going to plan, we're going to execute that plan, we're going to look at the data, and then we're going to modify it if necessary, and we're going to repeat. And maybe you get to a place where your setups are really working and your plan's really working for you, and you're not making many modifications, and you're just, repeat. So, that's that process there. Trade setups, not opinions. This is like really key. We're focused on trading setups. We don't want our opinions to make decisions for us in the marketplace, because that usually ends up horribly. Like even this analysis that I do in this show, it's just my opinion. It's fun to talk about charts and it's fun to look at things, but remember that I don't know what's going to happen and nobody knows what's going to happen. So, our opinions aren't really worth much. People ask me my opinion a lot, and I feel bad giving it to them because I don't know. Hell, maybe I'll become Kramer and they make an ETF that counter trades me someday. But anyway, trade setups, not opinions. What is a setup? Setups have clear, concise, predefined rules that can easily be replicated over a series of trades. So, I mean, that's key. Setup's like basically an algorithm, right? We want to have a list of steps that determine how we act in the market, but also it has to be repeatable. We have to be able to repeat this through a series of trades, because one trade's not going to really help us much. So maybe your setup's just buying a W. So, okay, that's one reason to take a trade setup, and you're just going to buy W's, and you're going to have your stop management rules in place and your target rules in place, and that's a setup. And you're going to do that 100 times and see where you end up. So it's important that you're working from that kind of rule-based system. focus on the process and the profits will come later. I think new people get caught up in just making money, and that's not the way to approach this. You need to focus first on just following this process of trading setups and following your plan. And over time, you'll make money if you do that. But if you just focus on making money right up front, yeah, you might make some money. You might even get lucky and make a lot of money, but that won't really gain you much for the long term, because you're just not going to be acting like, you're not going to be treating the market like a business. So, you need to learn the process first, in my opinion. Of course, again, this is my opinion, but I think other professional traders would agree with me on most of these points. Risk management above all else. I mean, really, risk management's key. I mean, if you don't understand the risk, or how you're approaching your risk, then you're going to get run over. Like if you don't understand if you're risking too much per trade, how many losers can you actually take in a row before you blow yourself up? And if you actually, there's charts around, there's even one on our site or on our community that shows you, how many losers would like how, or, if you were taking 5% risk per trade and you took 10 losers in a row, how badly would that affect your account as opposed to taking 1% risk per trade? And so you kind of need to understand that. Otherwise you're gonna blow yourself up. I mean, a lot of people fall into the trap of, they might, have a couple winners. Maybe they take like 1% risk on a couple winners, and they have 3 or 4 winners in a row. They get excited, and then they go and put on like a 10%, some obscene amount of risk on their next trade, and that's a loser. And that's that process won't work over time. So really, risk management's first, and then all these other things like technical analysis and setups and stuff, that comes after, in my opinion. Yeah, let's see. Student of the market, that's just kind of, a phrase that you'll hear around, but I think we're always learning. You always want to be adaptable or willing to adapt and willing to learn, because the market will always teach you something new every day. It's one of the reasons I like this. I mean, I like trading, is there's just always something to chew on. Of course, you got to be careful to not overdo that, and that's one of these later in this list. But we're always learning. Success is measured by how well we follow our plan, not by the money we make, which is, that sounds, everybody wants to make money at this, sure. But really, you can only judge your success by whether you're following your plan. Because again, if you have a couple winners just because of luck, you just like ape into something because you see somebody on Twitter and then it goes nuts and you make a bunch of money. Is that really success, or did you just get lucky? That's not going to work over the long term. So you really need to measure your performance by how well you're following your plan, because you can always adapt your plan if it's not working. But if you don't learn how to follow the process, then you're just kind of pissing in the wind. We want to make money, not be right. It's kind of, sometimes traders get too much hung up on being right. Even like with me doing this analysis, I don't actually care if I'm right. I'm just trying to, present the market in the way I see it, but it's not, my intention isn't to prove to everybody that I'm right. I actually want to just make money at this. And sometimes those lines get blurred, even for me, for sure. I've struggled with that, but it's good to ask yourself, are you trying to be right, or are you trying to make money? Because we don't have to be right all the time to make money, which is my next thing in the list. You don't have to be right all the time to make money. If you've never done it, I implore everybody to, go and do the math on like, if you had even a 40% win rate, so you're only right 40% of the time, 4 out of 10 trades, but you had a 2-to-1 risk reward on your winners, or on all your trades, sorry. Go do the math and see if you made money or not, even only being right 4 out of 10 times. Not to mention if you maybe do it with a 5-to-1 risk reward and see how you did there. And hopefully that goes back into the risk management thing a little bit, because you need to understand that concept to sort of, create a scenario where you don't have to be right all the time to make money. Asymmetric risk to reward approach, that's kind of also this same concept. You don't have to be right all the time if you're taking an asymmetric risk approach. Which kind of brings me to the next one. The average winner must be greater than the average loser. If your average winner is, and, going back to the asymmetric thing, is like, can I take a 2-to-1 trade or a 3-to-1 or a 4-to-1 as opposed to a 1-to-1, which would be symmetric. Like a 1-to-1, your losers is the same size as your winner. So like, can my average winner be greater than my average loser? And if that's the case, then I don't have to be right all the time to make money. So these three are all kind of related. This is from Trading in the Zone. Essentially, this is kind of Mark Douglas's main concept, and I think everybody should read that book. But think in probabilities, and then focus on a series of trades. One trade is meaningless. You can have one winning trade. That doesn't mean anything. We need to see a series of trades and how we performed over time, with a setup that's repeatable. And so we can look at that data and say, okay, we have 10 trades. I bought 10 W's with the risk, with my stop at the bottom of the W and a 2-to-1 risk reward. How did I do? And so we need to think in terms of probabilities, because again, you only have to be right. You don't have to be right all the time. So you just have to be right enough, and you have to have your average winner be greater than your average loser. And really start thinking focus on a series of trades. So one loser isn't that big a deal when you get in the habit of knowing, okay, well, I'm trading at a 50% win rate, and then the last 10 trades or 20 trades or whatever, I had that 50% win rate. So if I'm going to take one loser or two losers in a row, I can, if I'm trading my setup and know that I have an edge there, then I can be confident that I'm not going to just take, well, you never know what's going to happen, but the statistical probability of you taking so many losses in a row becomes easier or manageable, because you kind of have an understanding of where you're at with this series of trades. So one trade one loss doesn't mean much. Next, busting 10. This is a hard one for new people, because we feel like we miss trades. This is where like FOMO comes from. You see, well, it works in a couple ways. One, you see a market's gone away from you and you want to FOMO in and buy the top because you just aren't thinking in terms of the fact that there's always another trade around the corner. So, I mean, you kind of have to just get thick-skinned enough to just let it go and wait for the next setup. And that also works with like a bad trade or a loser or whatever, something doesn't work out like you wanted. You got to just let it go and move on. And I need to remind myself of this constantly too, because I sort of naturally lean into sort of being hard on myself about losers and stuff. So that's been a work in progress for me. I think humans in general have a hard time with this. We're not really set up for this to think this way. This is why the market just runs over 95% of the people that try to do this. Losing trade is not a reflection of you as a person. This is kind of the same as, well, it sort of fits in with next busting 10. You really have to be thinking in terms of, just because you take a loser doesn't mean you're a loser, which sounds silly and obvious, but man, I'm sure people can relate with that. As I'm saying, that we have a tendency to get a little overly emotional and have a tendency to focus on the losers as opposed to the winners, or at least I know my personality does that naturally, where I'll like forget about my winners and just sort of some loser will just be like fucking with me in my head. And so it's like you kind of have to train yourself to detach from this. You can't be attached to these trades. They're not, they don't reflect you as a person. It's just, you're just stepping into this market that's just like a never ending amount of possibilities. Like anything can happen. It has nothing to do with you. So the market's not really attacking you per se. Define your edge is just that gets into planning. You really need to define an edge. Like, where do you have an edge in the marketplace? What works for you? Like what speaks to you, and does that produce like, hopefully better than a 50% win rate. Patience is a virtue. This is like a Warren Buffett quote. I think trading is a process of transferring wealth from the impatient to the patient. This game takes an awful lot of patience. So if you're an impatient person, you're going to have to work on that. Sounds obvious, but it's just so true and so hard to I don't know. I wouldn't consider myself patient by default. So it's something that, I've had to learn and still learn. Keep it simple. I mean, really, the simplest setups actually seem to be the best. The worst thing is to get into like analysis paralysis type behavior, where you're just like using too many indicators or jumping from setup to setup, or like changing changing indicators all the time, even changing assets all the time, depending on what kind of trader you are. Some people are good at trading a lot of different assets. Some people, like myself, like especially for day trading, it's better for me to stick to less. With my investing, I don't mind having a bunch of positions, but like for day trading, it's better for me to kind of keep it to less names. But the point is, you just don't want to over analyze this stuff. You kind of got to find what works and stick with that, and then change it if it's not working. But keep it simple. Offloading emotions to a journal. Again, these aren't really in order. I just literally just brainstormed these, and it's not complete. It's just stuff I was thinking about. But it's important to just get the emotions off your chest. Like if you are, you kind of have to approach this like a business again, and without emotion. I'm sure a business person, or they need to do the same thing. If not get too attached to the individual details of the business, and if you are too attached to them, it's going to affect you negatively. So you really got to like offload this. This is why journaling becomes so important. A personal journal, but also your trade log and stuff, that's important too. But don't mistake your trade log for your journal. That's your trade log. And it's really important to kind of offload all your emotional bullshit into a journal too, just to get it out of your consciousness, so you're not dwelling on it, because it'll affect you negatively down the road. Practice gratitude. I think that's just something that's probably going to be helpful for everyone. And I'm not saying I'm always grateful, but I try. Or at least try to stay in that mindset a little bit. Gratitude journal never hurts. Try writing down 3 things you're grateful for every day, and just see what that does for you, and how hard it can actually be sometimes. If you're not in more of a positive mental state, then it can be hard to do that. So I highly recommend trying. And then I just honest with yourself and introspective. To be good at this, I think you have to have some level of self-awareness, and you have to be honest about where your pitfalls are, and where you might be underperforming, and things you need to change. It's crucial to this business, especially sometimes you have to just admit that what you're doing isn't working, and you have to change. And if you can't do that, it's going to be hard to do this. So, and the last one is percentages, not dollar amounts. I think it does help to start thinking in terms of percentages and not dollar amounts, because of course it really shouldn't matter if you have $100 account or $1,000 account or $100,000 account. The goal is to create a process that's working over time, and you want to be able to scale that up. And it becomes, scaling up is always hard. It's harder to take a trade with a lot more money. And so you need to sort of train your brain to think more in percentages. I'm taking 1% risk per trade over 100 trades, or whatever your risk management strategies are. It's better to think in terms of percentages, not dollar amounts, which I think you'll hear, like even in our trading room, most people aren't talking amounts. They're talking about percentages, like I, made 2% on the trade, or 2R, or however they want to say it. But, or I'm risking 0.5% or 1%. And usually hear us talking about 0.5% or 1%, because in general, that's where most of us fall in line. And I think that's a good place as a trader. As an investor, I could see going up to, my particular plan. I don't really like to go above 3% unless I've got like free positions and stuff, and it's just like a runner or something. But in general, I think 3% for me is kind of like where I like to fall as a max investment of my account into one name. Like with this altcoin plan. And you can see like in our plan for this show, we're only doing 1%. Anyhow, hopefully there's something. I think this stuff's really important, and maybe there's stuff you guys can add, and like maybe we can add to this list. But these are just some things that I, off the top of my head, just wrote down, thinking this is how I want to think about the market. And I'll just read these and remind myself and see where I'm, going astray. So hopefully maybe that was helpful. And I'm just doing it for fun. I don't know. Just do something a little different before I get into the rest of the show, which I'll just jump into now. I think I'll start with just the stuff that I go through normally. What happened this week? I've been starting with the DXY, and mostly it's a good place to start because there is some amount of inverse correlation with the risk assets that we're talking about trading. So I think it's worth talking about, and it has been well, it's testing the lows. Let's just put it that way. But no bottom here yet. I think this is a weekly chart, and also just this is a cool looking chart. Like if this was an altcoin, it would be very straightforward to me. I'd be a buyer down around 78.6 and below, which is way down here. And this kind of just looks like a classic crypto run up and then roll over. So trend is down for sure. And last week there wasn't a huge change from last week. We just made another low basically, and we actually dipped. We FU'd this low here at the bottom of the range just by a few ticks and bounced. But the moving averages are a pretty good description of the trend here, and I kind of see these as like the medium term trend, and they're pointing down. And then the 200 moving average is way down here, which I think could be tagged really. I mean, I'm kind of looking for a bottom right here, but there's no reason why we can't dump down against this, and that would be into 61.8's down here. And so by the time we get down to 61.8, maybe the 200 is a little closer to it. So I would, that's like support at the moment in a strong weekly downtrend, I would consider. And there's a couple, well, interesting to me is, we did finally dead cat bounce here, and this is what you'll see. We were in a very strong, just complete puke out here for many weeks. And when we finally did bounce, we just shot right up into 38.2 and the moving at the 13 period EMA here, which usually, so I would call that a dead cat bounce, right? And then we couldn't get above 38.2 and got rejected. And we just put in like a fractal 3-bar top here and rolled over against the moving average, which you just constantly see that. And so no bottom yet is all I'm saying here on the weekly chart, and everything's pointing down, and we did, catch a bounce off the lows. But, on a daily chart, I still am looking for the bottom. You see the same thing in the moving averages, just pointing down still, but I'm going to ditch those for the daily chart here. Whoops. And I mean, you could see how we just FU'd the lows and caught a bounce, but I'm mostly focused on this trend line at this point, until you can see how the trend line's just been resistance here. Until we're on the other side of the trend line with like a W or something, I don't think it's safe to be calling a bottom here, which really just means that crypto has the green light to keep pushing higher, essentially, is in terms of the inverse correlation with the dollar. All we did right now is just bounce up and fill the gap that we left from a couple days ago. But, well, this is from Friday. But yeah, you can see the trend line resistance. Last week I had talked about, and basically this gets into the wanting to be right thing. I don't really care if I'm right, but I did say, I was basically, in my notes here, I was looking for the rollover to set up the MACD div, and that's kind of what's happening here. We were sitting like right here. Well, let's see, last week we were sitting somewhere in here. I guess right there. So we did, that was last Friday. So we, hit the trend line, dumped, caught a strong bounce here, rolled over on the trend line again, and that was the low that's starting to set up the MACD div. So you can kind of see how now we're putting in a bullish MACD divergence. So the bottom is trying to come in, but it's not anywhere near in yet. And if anything, I also mentioned RSI is still not oversold here. So I really want to see RSI touch oversold and the MACD div come in. And then a W would be like the bottom for me. And that would be when we're thinking about crypto rolling over, which maybe that happens into May. This whole sell in May thing, I think, is still on the table for right now, as we had this mid-April right now. So, I think it's safe to, or at least it's a decent thesis to have, sideways or higher into May. And then, so sometime in the next few weeks, we probably should be looking for this bottom to come in and crypto to roll over a bit. So anyhow, that's where DXY is at. And moving on to SPY, I'll just try to go through these quick, but essentially there's no top in the, well, I want to go to the weekly first. We're still pushing higher. We dojied the last week and then now broke that doji to the upside. And really, I think we're going to at least test this high. They'll probably at least FU that high. But, as much as we have like a MACD div that is confirmed, RSI never got overbought. And I do really like to see these two work together. If I'm using MACD, I want to see RSI at least touch overbought around where the MACD div comes in. Like you can see over here, like as the top was coming in, RSI did get up into overbought, and then MACD div was coming in and it started confirming like around here. further confirmation here. And then ultimately RSI div confirmed right here, and that's where the top came in. So you can kind of see how I prefer these to work together. I don't like MACD divs just on their own as much because they don't seem to, like, even right here, you can kind of see as we did confirm, we're still bouncing higher. RSI is pushing higher. In fact, this is actually a W and RSI trying to come in here. So just up for now. Like, I mean, I'm not saying go long here because it's a little late for that, but I'm curious to see how high we push up into this area before May. Or can we get up and even maybe hit Mountain Man or this ABCD? Just get up into somewhere up into here before it rolls over, is what I'm looking for into May. OBV did kind of broke the structure and made a new high here, or at least a higher high, but it's still trending down. So it's not, there's nothing like super bullish here. It just seems like price is grinding higher. And I do like this ABCD still. And you can, this is the NASDAQ, tech's been outperforming recently, but I'm starting to see tech waning here. So, and I do think crypto is more related to tech than anything else. So it's like, NASDAQ's was outperforming the broader stock market, and now it's sort of getting weaker. And I didn't dip down to the daily chart on the SPY, but it doesn't really matter. It's the same as this chart, really. You're kind of, I'm seeing more weakness in the well, I shouldn't say weakness. I'm just starting to see the outperformance waning on NASDAQ because we didn't push to a new high like SPY did this week. But still, the same concept. I think the ABCD's on track. We're just pushing higher. You can see MACD divs are starting to come in here on this chart, but like RSI didn't get overbought. OBV is still cranking higher. So I don't think this is rolling over yet. And we're basically sitting at 38.2 right here of the range, but we're sort of resolving it bullishly at the moment. We're above it. So I do still think grinding higher for the moment. And like on a daily chart, both for the SPY and NASDAQ, there's no M here. I mean, there actually is an M in NASDAQ, funny enough. Did that confirm? Yeah, so they're actually, I don't know if that actually broke the low, 312.57, 312.82. So yeah, we actually did M out here. So I don't know, it's getting weaker. Again, I do think the tech rally is getting weaker against the broader stock market. You can see the divs coming in. In this case, RSI did, it's putting in a divergence where it did touch overbought back here, and it's almost at overbought here. So it's a little bit more in divergence than the SPY at the moment. And OBV actually rolled over with an M. So the tech rally is starting to run out of steam. Again, heading into May, I think this all makes sense. It's a question of how high can we push up into this ABCD before it rolls over, I would say. Now there's a possibility that maybe we don't get this rollover in May, but for the moment, I think that's kind of how, I think that's the thinking that I'm rolling with for now, at least. And all these pieces sort of work together, right? Like the VIX I've been talking about too, it's making new lows again. And it's still, this means everybody's relatively still happy with the market. This is a setup for getting ready to go short, as we push, we're actually testing this low here and maybe going to break it here this week. And I do think the bottom is going to come in somewhere around here on the VIX, which is also going to be timed with the market rolling over. So, this is the time to start thinking about shorting as we push down into this, level, and we're just making lows, so everybody's relatively happy at the moment. Nobody's panicking about crashes and stuff like that as far as the VIX is telling us. So that's kind of the broader market. Bitcoin Bitcoin did break out finally from its big dojis. Let me make sure. Yeah, so there's just making sure YouTube's all running. It looks like it is. Let's see, what can we say about old Bitcoin? Really just still grinding into this head and shoulders target, but we did break out of these dojis. And that, I did talk about last week how the consolidation was probably going to lead to some sort of relatively big move. And sure enough, it did break to the upside. Again, very similar to the stock market, in my opinion, in the sense that you can kind of see the momentum starting to wane. However, there's no real top yet. I mean, MACD div is coming in on the weekly chart here. RSI is now touching overbought. It's just getting in there. So if this MACD div confirms here soon, next week or two, as we head into May, and RSI has already gotten into overbought and probably going to start, maybe we can see an M or something. That'll be the confirmation for the momentum from MACD and RSI. OBV is already in divergence and M'd out, so that's not a great sign for Bitcoin. Even though we're grinding higher, OBV has already gone into divergence and M'd out on the weekly chart, and it's still showing weakness. We could potentially W here as maybe this week. Maybe we get some Sunday rally here and push OBV up into a W, but really that's not really a great signal. So that's not a great sign for the bulls. So you can, as we're pushing up into the, this area up here by 38.2 and the head and shoulders target 35 grand, you can see momentum waning. So yeah, maybe the next 2 weeks we push up into that level, and that actually marks the rollover into May. So all the pieces still still coming together for this sell in May thing. We'll just have to see what happens. But that's what the weekly is showing, and the daily. I mean, I don't know how much added information on the daily here. The weekly top is not in at the moment. The daily chart here, we're pushed up into this. This is the top of the range at this point. I would say, there's an M right there. That's the top of the M, and then this line is the bottom of the M. We did see resistance at that M for a couple of weeks here, basically, and then broke through it as we broke out, during the week this week, and kind of like a bull flag or triangle breakout here. So yeah, that consolidation did resolve bullishly, and price just launched up from that. And I talked about Bollinger Bands last week, and actually, the squeeze the squeeze in the breakout came in, as price squeezed against the mean of the Bollinger Bands here. It did set up a push to the upside. And now, usually like these breakouts, you want to see if, you'll see the candles sort of walk the bands up higher as the breakout happens, which happened, but now we're starting to close back inside the band. So I don't know if this bull breakout is now over. Like you can kind of see back here when this was a really tight squeeze, and the price continued walking up the bands quite a bit. Then we did start closing inside, but it had one more push higher. So, I'm not saying that it has to roll over here, but you can kind of see the same scenario here where you start getting, close inside the bands here. I guess even that one was technically closed inside the bands, and then one more push to the upside. So that's kind of what's happening here. So we might still be in breakout here, but I'm actually seeing the bands contracting again. Yeah, see, like you kind of have to watch the bottom band here. If this can break out to the downside again, then price is going to be pushing higher. But if this starts contracting in again, then we probably have to settle down a little bit. It's kind of the Bollinger Bands look. But otherwise, I mean, we've already completed the ABCD, and the head and shoulders is up here, and the next resistance is probably, the top of the range is right here, and then this key low here is marking resistance probably at 33. So, if we do shoot up there, that's probably the next resistance to the upside, and then of course the head and shoulders target's still up here, but it hasn't rolled over. It just hasn't rolled over yet. I'm not like bearish here. On the dailies, definitely, MACD is definitely in potential divergence here, and then RSI is also, in potential divergence there, and in overbought. So the momentum's there to start, to just probably hold off on new longs here with overbought conditions on RSI. But until these confirm, you can't really say that the momentum confirmation is in. But you can see that basically things are it's just getting weaker. This rally, we did have this push to the upside, but it's running out of steam, which shouldn't be a huge surprise. OBV is just flatlined here because the volume, I don't know, the volume just disappeared basically back here since March 21st. We've basically just had very little volume. So I don't know. There's not a lot of sellers or buyers, I guess you'd say, so the market's just sort of drifting. But that's kind of what I see in Bitcoin. Maybe I got to speed this up a little bit. I feel like I'm my little educational rant took up some time, but I guess it's just me here, so hopefully I'm saying something worth listening to. But anyway, that's Bitcoin. Oh, no top. I will say there's a three bar fractal top that's confirmed here. But now I was actually short, and I just closed my short at scratch here because I kind of think this Sunday we could see a push higher here this Sunday. We'll see though. I just didn't like the looks of the short I was in. And it didn't want to break down. I'd been in it but that's a lower time for me thing anyway. So anyhow, this is a kind of it's a 3-bar top for sure. We'll see what happens. No M, but maybe we have to dip down against the lows here a bit. So price can kind of regroup, but I think, even my notes, still bullish into May. And I can see the beginnings of the breakdown. We'll be looking to put a hedge on soon. As we head into May here, I kind of want to short, as a hedge, I want to short this Beto ETF, the Bitcoin ETF. And I haven't priced any of these options yet or been looking at them, but as we do push into May, my general plan here is as we push higher into May, I'm going to be looking to put on a hedge through the options market on this thing. We'll see how that goes. And I'll update you guys later as I do that. I think it's still too early now because I kind of want to buy. I'm going to be hunting probably either July expire or something a little farther out to see if I can, if there's any sort of dump in May, I'd like to have that trade on. And I also am kind of hunting longs in the DXY, but there's nothing there yet. So, Ethereum was stronger this week. Of course, we got through this. What the hell did I just forgot the name of the whatever the upgrade was called, Scapella or some shit. I don't know why I can't remember that now. But it did turn out to be sort of not a sell the news, which I didn't think it was going to be a sell the news event. As much as I think I said last week, seemed like people were harping about some, that on Twitter, but it didn't appear to be the case. If anything, I said in my notes last week that I was hoping for a sell the rumor and a buy the dip kind of event, which I wouldn't say there was much of a dip. So, price didn't dip that much, but we were sitting at 88.6 last week. Let's see, I'm on the daily here. There's not really much to say about the weekly here, so I'll just try to be quick. We did bust out the range, and now we're heading up into resistance. Similar to Bitcoin, you kind of see the same MACD div, and then also RSI getting up into overbought. But Ethereum looks strong for sure on the weekly, and we did pop the range, so we'll just see. On the daily, we now have a couple closes outside of the range too. But we were sitting here at 88.6 last week, so there was short location for anybody that wanted to short, and there was a MACD divergence that actually did confirm. Again, RSI never got overbought. That's kind of my point about, again, going back to the MACD RSI comparison or sort of working together kind of thing. Didn't get the div with MACD overbought, so and OBV just pushing strongly higher. So we did come up into 88.6 here, which is a good short location, but never really got short confirmation here, so it wasn't that big of a surprise that we just launched higher, especially into this event. And Ethereum looks pretty bullish. And you can kind of see it's starting to, this is kind of ugly on the ETH BTC chart. I was looking for a dip down into the ABCD, and it hasn't happened at the moment, but, the trend is still down if you're just kind of using higher or lower highs and lower lows. We are making, in fact, we even made a lower low there. We just FU'd these lows. But essentially we've bounced off Mountain Man. We bounced off Mountain Man with an ugly W, came up into resistance, got rejected, and now bounced again off Mountain Man and shot straight higher. So I guess in the last week, or last few days for sure, Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin, but I don't really see a true bottom here yet. So I don't know, I drew this trend line today. I think it's a pretty good guide. We probably shoot up into there, see what happens there. And if we start, consolidating and pushing higher after the trend line, then yeah, I could see, ETH continuing to outperform Bitcoin, and maybe there's, that sets up some better conditions for altcoins. But for the moment, it's just kind of pushing higher, and there's not, potential MACD div. There's nothing to really say here. OBV is actually Wing out here, it looks like, so could easily just see this thing grinding higher this week, but we'll see what happens. But I mean, in general, we still are in a, making lower highs. So, it might roll over here and get back deeper into the reload zone and still complete this ABCD which is sort of what I was looking for. And I did see somebody on the group talking about total 3, which I don't really look at, but damn, this is market cap minus Bitcoin and Ethereum. It definitely looks like it's breaking out. So like, I don't know, maybe there's going to be some sort of, well, maybe we have like a mini alt season here. I do still think, even with this, I would probably rather buy my alts post May. We'll see what happens and hopefully get some sort of dip. But nonetheless, looks like ABC to the upside. So I don't know if the market cap excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum looks like it wants to push up and push up higher. I don't really follow this that much, but it does look, you could see the W right there, and definitely kind of like a bot setup coming in here. So it's worth noting. I don't have much to say about Bitcoin dominance actually, so I'll just leave it at that. We're still just at the top of the range. It did pop higher and whatever, it's just coming back against the top of the range. So I don't know, everything's on track. Like for this kind of rollover in May, I think is still, it's just everything seems to be pointing that way to me. The only thing that would change that is if we just keep pushing higher through May. And it could, there's no specific date for this. It's just more of a, as we move into May, like April, I think I even said last week, April's always pretty strong for the stock market. So it's not unreasonable to think, oh, Shanghai upgrade. Yeah. What's Chappelle or some other shit, but Shanghai, that's right. Anyhow, it's not a surprise to see the stock market relatively bullish through April. And then in May, it's not uncommon to see it roll over. So like, I think this is all, have your bids working for post May on your altcoins is basically my, approach to this. I'm not like looking to, as much as I might put that Bitcoin hedge on, it's not like I'm looking to short altcoins in May per se. I'm more like a buy the dip kind of person. I want to see it roll over into my bids in, early summer, and then hopefully get some sort of summer rally is sort of my approach. I'm not really interested in shorting altcoins, as like we can get into these altcoins here now, and I'll show you why. But I did bang one double out, so that was cool. I got a double on this NK, and it was on Sunday right after the I think it was on Sunday, yeah, right after or later after the show, which I'm starting to see a theme. Oh, it was on Monday. Well, what time was that at? It doesn't matter. I feel this was like Sunday night for me, but nonetheless, I feel like I'm banging out doubles like Sunday night a lot. So there's been like uppiness and alts on my Sunday night, which it's only it's 10 a.m. Well, it's 11 a.m. my time right now. So, another 10 hours or something from now. Seems like things are popping, but this NKN just popped up and came right back down. But I did get my double off there. So that was the only double I got this week. But I got a couple on the dock here. Like I saw people banging out doubles on Katazi or whatever. This thing launched. That's not my chart though, but I still need higher. Where's KuCoin? Yeah, I'm not quite there yet. Hopefully I can pump this thing up today and actually fill me. But I noticed that thing launching. And I also have some other one that was, well, I won't get into those. I have a couple that are like getting close to double zone, but not quite there. But I'll move on to that. That is the only double I can report this week, but hopefully this one comes in too. And so anyway, I think we left off with, I know we left off with Osmosis last week, and next on the list is NEM XEM, which is a new economy movement. I think it is. This is an old coin. Sometimes I'm surprised it's still around. Like this is on Binance, but I think if you look at it somewhere else, there's a lot of history probably on maybe go to like Bittrex. Which funny enough, I'm successfully off of Bittrex, but I did get kicked off Bittrex, and I think the last day to trade might have even passed. And now basically you can just withdraw. But oh, cool. Mercurio said he got a double on NKN as well. Good job. But yeah, if you're on Bittrex, you got to get your shit off there, which again brings up the whole systemic risk thing. And I saw that even Stefan was posting a list of KuCoin delistings, and by some shocking reason, I didn't have any. Usually I'll get run over by those fucking delistings, but I didn't have any of the KuCoin delistings recently. But it does just to remind, if nobody's been through, if you haven't done this type of plan before, it is a huge risk, or there's a big systemic risk in coin delistings. They do happen, so it's just be mindful that these things could disappear on you, or get just like Bittrex kicked me off. Maybe you get kicked off. If your coin gets delisted on KuCoin, there may or may not be a place to move it, so you might consider that before you buy these things. And you might have something in your plan to dictate what you might do. I've seen, in the past, it was kind of common to not, if a coin was only traded in one place, then that's probably not that's a bad sign. But I already talked about the spreadsheet, so I guess I don't need to get into that. But I hopefully, this, go find this, read this. This is our plan. Paul talks about it every week, and I'm just going to jump into the coins so that I don't run out of time. And the first one was this XEM, which, I'll sort of do my basic plan is a little bit different than the Road to Financial Freedom plan, but I'll just, I'll start with my plan, and this thing actually looks damn good. There's not a lot of actually history on Bittrex, but this is an old coin. I don't know where to go find it, but I'll just go back to Binance. This thing's been around for a while, and it looks pretty good actually. It looked better on Bittrex there, but because I saw OBV was looked better to me, but nonetheless, I'm basically, when I look at these, my basic plan here in this cycle is just the first thing I'm hunting is location, and then the second thing I'm hunting is there any type of OBVW, and better if there's some sort of divergence. But a W is enough for me to at least then move on to my third step, which is hunting a weekly W. In this case, we're in, OBV is in potential divergence. So that's good. It's not confirmed, and it's actually going to take a lot to confirm it because it's got to bust higher than this high here to actually frame this big W. But as we move to this low here, OBV is still pushing higher. It looks like it at least. Yeah, so OBV is making a higher low. And that's a nice W too. And this is a weekly chart, so that's a nice confirmed W. So I have basically, I have location, although I wish I saw the history back here, but I'm at the moment, we are making near lows through here, but location I'm going to assume is good just because I'd like to go find this somewhere else, but I'm not going to worry about it right here. I like location here in the sense that even if I just drew my reload zones off of this pop here, I'm probably in a reload zone right now. I'm going to use, we're above 78.6 here. It looks like 88.6 was a nice level to get a stink bid filled here and the bounce, but location's not bad, and OBV's good here with this W and potential divergence. The only thing I need now for me personally is a weekly W, which I'm not seeing here. This is a push to a new low, and then this is just kind of ugly. So I don't really like this here. I'd prefer to just let this thing roll over again and set up a W down the road. Something, maybe it even that would be better to me because I could buy the pullback after that W, but preferably it would actually even come in lower, like we somehow, we just drift our way down and put in a W down around 78.6 would be ideal for me. So that's where I'm not going to do anything right here. Now the Road to Financial Freedom plan is a little different in the sense we're happy to buy location, so we would have been willing to step in and buy down here. Paul likes to add on the volume profile, so I'll do that too. Just let's see, those are profile visible range. He talks about the POC a lot. We're below the POC here on this data, on this chart. And so, location's fine. If you like this coin, it's not the worst place to take a nibble. Me personally, I'm not going to do that here. But I think, and I don't know how we're going to go about updating the spreadsheet this week anyway, because Paul's actually he's kind of setting the levels for these. So maybe I'll even check in with him later in the week. But I'm not going to actually put in a solid bid here because personally it doesn't fit my plan as much. But But I think, it's not the worst place to be nibbling here. There's tons of upside. I think probably best to just wait for 78.6 at least, which is down here at 0.037. So maybe we'll consider working a bid there, even off those candle body lows right there. But I don't love it, so not that excited about it. Hot is next on the list. Holo chain. This one's actually, do we actually have a weekly W working? Not really. 1379 and 1380. Huh. So it's close. We actually did dip to a new low here, and I don't like that the candle body lows on the right side of the W are lower than this candle body low, but nonetheless, it's close to a W, but I can't call it a W. Now again, location's good, and the first thing I would personally do is just draw my reload zones off the bottom here. And, we're already below 88.6. So for sure, location is good here. And you can see the basing coming in here. So it's not if this is something that you're into and you want to own this coin, I don't know. I can't fault you for even just buying that right there. But me personally, I see nice W. And so I have my location again, and I have a nice W confirmed here in OBV. So those are my first two reasons, which were good for me. The only thing I need now is a weekly W. So again, I would just wait. Hopefully this thing will just, roll over and W, and then I'm going to look to either buy that W or buy the pullback against it. So it's not bad there. Now the POC is lower on this one. So, switching into the road to financial freedom thinking, it's probably, I do like the level against the W back here, and I could easily see that being hit. So I think the cheap ass in me would want to be bidding down against the POC here. What's that? 941. So quite a bit lower, that's 50% down from where we are, more than 50% down. So, anytime I see a previous W breakout and price coming into it, that's sort of where I'm going to be interested in that level right there. So, and that happens to be the POC in this case. So, buying it up here, you're chasing a bit, truthfully, and it just comes down, if we get a W up in here to sort of frame the bottom, that's fine. Otherwise, I'd be hunting down here, which is against this W here, which is really good location because we're way below 88.6 at that point. So I don't know. I'll talk to him, but I think we'll probably just put our bid in here at 941. Moving on, SXP. This one already took off, so there's not a lot to do here, but it is a good example of a W breaking out. And actually, this is my setup here. I didn't take this trade, unfortunately, but you would have had to be sitting here. I mean, well, we'll look at the daily chart maybe in a second here, but I'm mostly focused on the weekly charts for these. The only time in my particular plan, I only zoom into the daily. Well, I focus on the weekly, and then if it's like there's not enough data, I'll switch to the daily. But I focus almost all of my analysis on the weekly, and then I'll use the daily for an entry if I want to try to snipe some killer entry. But I think it's a good practice. I mean, weekly charts are great for this type of thing because keep in mind we're on like a 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 year time horizon, so there's no point in zooming in my opinion. But I see a weekly W here, but I also see OBV and divergence, which, so in this case, location's good because we made new lows here. So we're down at the bottom. And we started, first we saw like, that's not really a W actually, but, and that's not a W either, but we are in divergence. So essentially I already had location, new lows. I had potential OBV divergence through here and then confirmed here. Looks like, as we broke that W out, that was on that candle there, which is right at the current POC. And so this is a perfect setup for me, really, because, first we had location, then the OBV div confirmed before the W, and then the W confirmed. And so, if I was sitting here looking at this, I could have easily bought that 37.67 level, and I would have gotten a double already. So shame on me. I don't even think I can trade this because I don't think it's on KuCoin. Maybe it is, but, basically if you were there sitting there and you could buy that W, your double would have come in somewhere right there. Is he right there? So yeah, maybe somebody already hit that, or hopefully somebody already got that double. But you could kind of see this is my setup in a nutshell. Now let's see if you could have gotten in pretty. Oh, they didn't give you much time to get in on the daily. I mean, you would have had to be sitting here because there was no Wyckoff check or anything. So yeah, you would definitely have to be there. Now, of course, if you're already hunting this coin, I think the weekly OBV, well, if you're hunting on the daily, you can kind of see the divergence on the daily still. No real W, but I could see you drawing your reload zone off of that range, and you would have gotten some sick fill right here. Like that would be like the sniper level. If you knew you wanted to be long this thing, I don't love that there was no structure here to work with, no actual W, but I suppose if you were just hunting location, you could have drawn your reload zone here. 78.6 would have been, that's the true sniper entry right there. So you'd have been down, you'd have been in long from way lower, and hell, you'd have banged out. That's a 23. Damn, it went up to 90. So that would have been a sick trade to just buy that 78.6. But for me personally, in my like slowed down investment plan, I didn't have a weekly W to work off of, so, or even a daily W here. But that's a long way of saying that there's nothing you could do now. Well, what you can do now, and this is what I would do, is now that we have a W, so we had my divergence, we have the weekly W now, so all I can do is hunt the reload zones here. And I really like the level down here. That's classic TRI shark setup here, which is, a little bit above the POC, but essentially the TRI shark, it's a little different than the shark that we like to trade at, or that many of us trade at Crypto Traders Arena, but the TRI shark is actually buying the previous W breakout near the 78.6. So, basically a bid right here on that W level is the next opportunity to get long on this thing. So for now, you just gotta wait. You can't buy it up here, in my opinion. And I don't even really like Mountain Man here because it's just, I mean, you could hit that level. That is the reload zone. But personally, I don't love that, especially now that this thing's like 4 or 5x or whatever it did off the bottom. I'd prefer to stay closer to 78.6 in this W breakout. And then, of course, the POC here. So I guess I think for us, we'll probably have our bid working at the POC for now. And the POC's moving around as I do this. Let's get the whole chart. So yeah, the POC's basically down here. So somewhere around here at the W breakout and the POC, I think is the level. Personally, I would just hit the green line here at the W. I think that's fine. For me, that's my setup in a nutshell. So I'll look into that. I don't know. Can I trade it on KeyCoin? Let's see here. Oh, I can. So yeah. So I'm going to actually make a note of that and come back to that. Quantum's the next one. And I guess I'm probably not, maybe I'm kind of screwing that up. Miku is going to update the spreadsheet later, but I'm not giving defined levels. Maybe I should do that actually. I didn't really think that through before I started this on my own today, but I'll go back and look at those three. I mean, I'll go back and set the levels that I just talked about on these three, and then I guess I'll just confirm it with Paul later. But you'll see that updated in our spreadsheet in the next couple days. And of course, these fills aren't going to come in right away, so there's no immediate rush here. But if you are interested in these, I would just consider the levels I'm talking about, and then you can go and find your own levels. Quantum's, this one's an old. I'm long. I have free position on this, and I've also I've always liked this one, and I like this chart right now too for location, and very strong OBV. As much as we kind of were emming out through here, and now there's a W in OBV right here that's already confirmed. That's also in divergence. So well, clearly location's good. I'll draw my reload zone here off the bottom. And, we're below 88.6, so location's good. Reason number one's good. As we push to new lows here, OBV was in divergence, so that's reason number two for me. Check. And then now I don't see a weekly W, so I need to wait. And I don't like chasing it right where it is right now. This is ugly price action, and a lot of coins look like this right now because they did push higher off of a V bottom, and now they've just kind of been not really breaking down. This is almost like bull flagish, a giant triangle, but or pennant, I guess. Nothing to do right here. I don't like that here, and I'm waiting for my weekly W. So ideally, we'd come back down, and this is what I'm hoping for in May as we do roll over, and maybe the W comes in down here somewhere. That was a crappy drawing, but I gotta wait. For me personally, I'm not gonna just hit this. Well, definitely not right here, and I'm not even. I'm gonna wait for that W, and that'll complete my setup. But I think for the Road to Financial Freedom plan, I think it's respectable to just draw your reload zones here, and I'd like to hunt 786. You can see how they already tagged it. So that's like that's like the sniper level. Well, we didn't hit it. But your bid working at 78.6 wouldn't have been unreasonable right there. If you're just trying to get into this name, you would have almost gotten a fill. Of course, your 61.8 fill would be looking okay. Could definitely see this thing pushing higher. But for right now, I think our level is 78.6 down here. And the POC, which is, the POC is a little higher. And I'm not seeing great structure back here to work with. Like I guess that W there would be the structure that I would work from. So I like that level, which is 328. We're almost sitting there. So, I mean, I can't fault anybody for nibbling there. I personally just am going to be a little more patient and wait for better structure to come in. But if I don't know, if I wanted to just knife catch, which I will, I will do that later. I just, in my plan specifically states that I'm not doing that right now. I'm still early in this cycle, and so I'm waiting for structure. I'm not just like knife catching, but I do have I do call it the knife catching setup. And as we start getting into more of a bullish environment, or the beginning of once I have, well, in my plan it basically says once I start seeing the majority of altcoins pointing up with their moving averages, and we're starting to enter into trending higher, that's when I'll start kind of hitting levels like that. But for the moment, I'm waiting for W's. But probably later in the year, as we get farther into this accumulation cycle, I'll start hitting levels like this. But I could see how somebody might have just gone and had their bid right there and just hit that W. Location's good. Maybe they're reloading on stuff they sold up top. And you just basically be sitting at scratch here after going underwater for a bit. But, so location's good here for sure. I think for the Road to Financial Freedom plan, we'll just stick with, that POC level. Well, the POC was too high. So I think 78.6 is also the level that we'll stick to here, which is 2.318 for our first bid. But I do like the idea of buying this one. So I like right there. Funny enough, Luna made the list today. So, and I guess Luna, I always get confused with these. This is Luna. This is the old one. So, I should say, sorry, Luna Terra 2.0. And I mean, just looking at this weekly chart, there's not a lot to work with. Clearly, we're at the bottom of the range after the fiasco. And I should go look because I do know there's some sort of like unlocking. I don't remember how it works, but I do have some Luna that's in a wallet, and like, I don't know, it's like getting dispersed out at like unlock periods or something. I don't really know how that's all working, but I suppose like when I see something like this, it's like, okay, yeah, it's cheap for sure. OBV's telling me nothing. So I'd kind of have to just zoom in a little bit and just see what's going on down here. So I will go down to the daily chart. And because we obviously know we're way down here. It's like, are we, is there any chance of a bottom here? Clearly price got destroyed and it's just down way down from the top. So it looks, I don't know, just looking at the chart here, and OBV, OBV is pushing higher. So money was flowing into here throughout this whole basing phase here. And of course, this was back in October, I think, September, when it did pump like pretty damn good there. Of course, we did make a new low, and now we're just trying to base here. But I suppose if you're just drawing like fibs, you'd have to argue that location's good here. It's basically sitting at 78.6. Um, and well, I'm sorry. Well, yeah, 78.6 is right here. So it's sitting right at 78.6. And funny enough, there is a W working. It's pretty wide, but we did push to a higher or a new high there. So technically the daily W came in and no divert for me. Like if I was just kind of zooming into the daily chart for my setup here, then I would be looking for some sort of OBV divergence right here, which we didn't get. We were just pushing new lows. And yeah, we even through here, we couldn't even W. So I don't love that. But we did end up Wing back here. So that's enough for me to now hunt. I just need a new W to work off of. Yeah, Demo. Well, it's on our list. So we got to look at Luna. Now, I'm not. Keep in mind, this whole plan that we're working is like 100% technical analysis. We're not really getting into fundamentals. So, if you don't like the fundamentals of Luna, then don't buy it. I mean, I'm not telling anybody what to buy. We're just kind of demonstrating this sort of technical side of this, and we're basically just working from the top of the market cap and working lower. And we kind of have to. If this fits our plan, we're gonna probably take a nibble. Now, fair enough with Luna, we might draw the line here. I'm not like super excited to go rush into this thing personally. So I think take it for what it's worth. This is now it's like an old disaster. It's got a lot of bad blood around it. So yeah, just don't buy it or whatever. But from a technical point of view, I'm just saying, can we possibly be seeing a bottom come in? We know we're kicked in the nuts here. It's down on its knees for sure, and it is basing here. Hell, you could probably already have banged some. Well, you could have banged double out through that rally. So, and you can, the W's came in right here. So if you're like trading this thing and you bought that breakout, we saw FTT pumped like crazy the other day. So I don't know why can't Luna. I mean, I did see that like they ran FTT up, same kind of thing. It got destroyed, came back down against the lows here. Nice W breakout to work with there. You could have just hit that level and you'd have been, I actually saw the, VPM 88 in our community is just like banging out so many damn doubles. It's insane. And I saw him posting a win here. So yeah, be more like him. But anyway, same point. So yeah, so this pumped, I don't know. Does Luna do the same? Maybe. There's no reason why I can't. It looks like they tried to pop it at the same time they pumped FTT actually, and it didn't really materialize. But really, from a technical standpoint, all I can say is I do have a W here on the daily chart, and I do have, I don't have a nice W here, so I'd prefer to just let this thing settle down and W out again before I take a shot. And I think for our crypto traders arena, this plan we're working, I mean, you can see how we're basing off 88.6 here. I like to, I'm okay with the bid. I mean, I'm okay with that at 78.6, but I think because it's Luna, we're just going to be a little more patient here and hunt this 88.6 and just see how that goes. You can kind of see how the support's already there, and I don't think there's any rush here. So let's run with that. So that's those are the next 5 coins. Not a lot. I mean, unfortunately, we're just kind of in this place where there's not a lot of exciting, again, it's just slow, boring accumulation. It's not like we're not like rip roaring bulls here. So we're just kind of taking our nibbles down at the bottom of the range. I was going to talk about a couple more things just that I noticed, and then I'll do the giveaway and then I'll call it because I'm at an hour and 15 minutes right now. So I'm just going to wrap this thing up pretty soon here. But I wanted to talk about this Ribbon Finance RBM or RBN on Coinbase. And it's just something that I bought. I think I mentioned it a few weeks ago, but this one looks interesting to me. You can basically had a nice W here coming back here, but it technically was in divergence because we made a new low. And then of course the weekly W is kind of weird looking. I actually see the weekly W's right here. But you could argue that there's actually, there's also a W here. So we have like a triple bottom coming in here. And then now we're just back down into that W. So I'm looking for these lows to hold, hopefully. And I'm basically long. Right here I'm averaged in. I want to be averaged in around 78.6 at the end of the day. I don't remember offhand how many buys I have in this, but I still have room to add on all of these. So if I want to add to this, I can. But I'm just sitting here at a 2.29 or 209, and I just I'm only pointing it out because it just has my setup. Weekly div, weekly W, and then now it's I'm basically buying into the reload zone of that W. Because the W is pretty wide, so I don't like the idea of buying up here. When a W is this big, I don't want to just buy that breakout. But it's just sitting there. I don't really know. From a fundamental standpoint, I don't know, if this is the next best thing or not. It's just something that I bought recently. Not an M in OBV, but it is kind of breaking down. So I don't think there's any rush, but I do like this one. I just had it in my list, so I don't know. It was on this list right here, so I'm just sharing it. And then actually a couple crypto stocks that I wanted to share because they're starting to look good. The Bitcoin miners. This is CLSK. They're just a Bitcoin mining company, CleanSpark, and I pointed this little W out right before it broke out, and now I'm already long I think I'm averaging from 316. And it's sitting at, whatever it is right now, 421. I'm basically long from the W now. So, but I was just nibbling this thing as it came down. A little different. I'm not seeing the same OBV. OBV is pushing higher in the bigger picture, but in this recent move down, I can't actually argue that my setup is in right here. But I'm approaching these stocks a little different. I'm just kind of nibbling into them in my retirement account. But hopefully you can see the nice W that's come in now. So we had a nice close on this wide W, and then there's this little cheeky W. And so that's looking pretty good for this. It's nice to see some of these stocks looking buyable. So I just want to point that one out. Probably could buy that pullback pretty easily. And then I stumbled into this BTCM, which is another miner that I don't know much about. I was going to just look a little closer at it. Same little W basically, but it hasn't broken out yet. So we'll see what happens to Bitcoin this week. But I imagine if Bitcoin has a good week, this thing will push higher. I think, in terms of buying this thing, it's sitting at Mountain Man really right now, which is the W. So I don't mind buying it right there. I don't have this yet. I'm actually going to buy it though this week, at least just take a small nibble against this W and just see how it goes. I mean, OBV is in divergence actually from these highs way up here. So we have this big wide OBV divergence and a cheeky little W right there. So happy to just go in and nibble this thing. But I did want to look at it really quick because I actually haven't yet. I'm just going to look at it on FinViz because I don't know anything about it. Bit Mining Limited. It's got a low share count, which I like. And nice, actually, yeah, it looks pretty good to me. Price to book is under 1. And they don't have debt. So, I mean, this is and the thing is it's a Hong Kong company. I don't know. That is what it is. But yeah, I'm going to buy this thing and just see how it goes. I mean, in theory, Bitcoin miner, they should, if when Bitcoin goes up down the road, this thing should do okay. So, but the chart looks good, so just pointing that thing out. Do your own due diligence. But it's nice to see some of the crypto stocks looking good. And I did miss some fills on Riot and Mara. Those things are up 3x off the bottom. But they never really gave a good entry. Riot, kind of kicked myself because I did want to buy this thing back, but I never really, didn't see a W in here. And then now this thing is up from 350 up to 1350. So, yeah, DMAC, investing in China I don't know. That's up to you. I mean, it's traded on the NASDAQ, but it's a Chinese company. Or a Hong Kong company, at least. So anyhow, there's two stocks to chew on. This one's not buyable, Riot. I do like this one and I want to buy it, but I didn't really see an entry. And I think Mara is a different miner that looks the same. Yeah, too late. I mean, you could see these things are pushing higher, so that's what's dragging that CLSK up. These are already more established, I think. They just didn't really bottom very well. I mean, I do like that they came down against the previous W, but I didn't see it. Now there's a weekly W, but it's ugly. But anyway, 2 stocks to chew on, and I think that's pretty. That's. I just went through a lot of stuff. Hopefully, it was valuable. I'm just kind of rambling here as always, but again, these are just my opinions. Going back to my little list earlier. I don't know what's going to happen. These are, I'm just following my silly little plan, and we built this Road to Financial Freedom plan also to keep it simple and just, capitalize on the cyclical nature of crypto and, buy at bottom of the ranges and then wait patiently to sell at the top of the range essentially. So, I mean, you can kind of see how much upside, I mean, even this one, Mara, I mean, this was a great trade back here. And now, I guess shame on me for not just going and buying back here, but I didn't. I just didn't see what I wanted to see there, but I could see how it would have been fine to go and nibble this thing. I haven't been super active in the stock market though in the last year. But hopefully, just even moves, in the next cycle, like even just getting back to the 50% level here, that's way up here at $43. So, even right here, it's sitting at 12. So it's still 3x up to the 50% level. I'm not going to buy right here, but hopefully again, we roll over into the, middle of this year, and maybe I can buy the reload zone down here and, get in at like $6 and potentially ride this thing up to 43. And I'm not even looking for a new high here. I'm just looking for a move back to the 50% level. So tons of upside on these crypto stock names, like that CLSK that I was just talking about has it's a little different chart, but I mean, getting back up, there's probably splits or some shit going on. But even like if I took my 50% level off of that high here, that's at 22 and we're sitting at 4, less than 4 right now. So I don't know. Hopefully you can see that this thing could outperform Bitcoin. If Bitcoin shoots up from, it's at 30 right now and it goes to 100, this thing's going to outperform it just to move back to here. So just something to consider with these. I mean, personally, I want to own both, I just want to own some of these stocks in my retirement account and then also own Bitcoin. So anyhow, that's my show for the most part. There's not a lot of time to look at any names, but if anybody has, maybe I'll look at like 1 or 2, but I'm going to do this giveaway really quick. And just in case I mess it up, I think I have it all set up here. I loaded the retweets and I'm going to hit the button and we'll see what happens here. So I'll just, no drum rolls or anything. I'm just going to click this button. And I think, actually before I pick the winner, I think I'm on deck for a one-on-one. So if you're already a premium member, then I think I'm next for the one-on-one tutorial. And I'm just going to hit this thing. I think he's already won, Bogdan. Maybe not. Maybe I'm mixing up. I think we have nonetheless, I don't know if he's premium or not, Bogdan Clincy. So yeah, I guess you're our winner this week. So I'm going to screenshot that really quick so I don't forget. Let me just save that really quick. So yeah, congratulations to Bogdan, and sorry DMAC, I don't know what to tell you, man. Someday, I suppose. Now, I don't think DMAC, you're not in the are you in the premium side of our of the group? I'm not sure. But anyhow, feel free to reach out to me if you ever want to talk about trading. So anyway, there's our winner, and I don't know. Hopefully I did that right, but everything should have been fine. I loaded the tweets and okay. So like really for the next, next week, retweet the, this week's, show's tweet. If you retweet that, we'll enter you into the next drawing. And of course, basically it's for a month of membership into our group and then, premium member. And then if you're already a premium member, it's a one-on-one tutorial with one of us, and I think I'm next. So that's about it. I don't know. Nobody threw any names in. D-Max saying he won the third time? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, we're not, and it's like, we're just doing, I don't know. We're just doing this to, it's just for fun. I don't know. We'll keep doing it every week. We don't really put, anybody that retweets it gets thrown into the results, and we just use this little app to pick it. So just for fun. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not seeing anybody throw any names in. And plus I'm coming up on an hour and a half anyway. So I think I'll probably give somebody a second if anybody has anything. If anything they want to look at to end with. Otherwise, I'll give you guys a couple seconds. Otherwise, I'm going to just kill the meeting. And then we'll be back next Sunday for sure. As always, I think Paul will be back by then, and we'll just continue on this journey. And I'll remind everybody about, the spreadsheet. You can find it at the weekly crypto review channel of our Discord. It's open to everybody. We make this show every Sunday, so we'll be here doing the same thing every week. I'll get with Miku and Paul about updating the spreadsheet for the names I talked about today. And you'll see those get updated probably in the next couple of days. So I think I'll, somebody says if Cost is saying if they win the following weeks, they'll give you winnings to DMAC. Yeah. And I think at some point we're just going to give you a free membership for a month anyway, DMAC, because I do appreciate your, well, VIP is different. First of all, like there's premium and VIP. Those are two different things, but premium is what we're talking about here. The VIP is a limited group of people that are actually, taking Paul and Stefan's trades directly. So that's not the same as the premium room, but nonetheless, anyhow, I'm just kind of rambling here. But yeah, so Costa's got your back if you don't win, and I got your back too, DMAC. I mean, I do honestly appreciate your consistency. I don't know why you haven't won. It's just random shit. But I do appreciate you showing up, man. You seem like you're here all the time, and so I hope I hope trading's going well for you. And I hope to, if you need something, if you need any help or want to just shoot the shit with me, reach out to me. And with that said, I think I'll just leave it here. I got my little disclaimer outro that I forgot to do last week that Paul made for me, so I'm going to end with that. But other than that, I hope everybody has a good week. We'll be trading every day, London Open and New York Open. I'm not usually in the London session because I'm asleep, but I'll be in the New York. And catch us in the lounge if you have any questions, and I'll just leave it at that. So everybody have a good rest of your day or evening, and I'll talk to you all next week. So I'm going to hit this outro and say goodbye.